So you're a Canadian, wanted to learn FBM advice? I got you. My name's Anthony Mancini. I send out shipments like this every single week. And in this video, I want to teach you A to Z, everything you need to learn about FBM. So let's get right into it. I assume you know what FBM is, but just in case you don't, fulfilled by merchant, it's where we're shipping directly to the customer. Unlike FBA, where we're shipping to a warehouse, that means we don't need to wait for inventory to check in and we can sell quicker. And if we're selling quicker, that means we're getting faster cash flow. We can reinvest into more inventory and compound everything quicker. And overall, it's pretty much low risk compared to FBA. I'm not saying FBA is bad. I do equally both, but FBM is to use as a low risk play in conjunction with FBA. In terms of supplies, it's actually super simple. All you really need is ideally a 4x6 thermal label printer, which you probably already have if you do FBA. If you don't, you could definitely use like an 8x11 printer, which is your standard, but it's going to change a little bit of the format of what type of paper you need. 4x6 thermal rolls you can get on Amazon, UPS. You can really do that everywhere. If not, you can use 8x11 paper. That's just a little bit more annoying because you need to tape it on every single box or bag. And in terms of bag, well, I recommend craft shipping bags. You can get them from Stallion Express or Uline or Amazon. In terms of shipping these things, don't worry about the containers or anything like that. List it now, get the sales, and then figure out how you're going to ship it right after in the next business. The three main pillars for FBM is pretty obvious. How are we going to find these products? We're going to go over it. How do we set up our shipping exactly to take control of the buy box from these FBA sellers? And obviously the best way to ship in Canada, the cheapest and fastest methods to get to the customer. We're going to start off with the best way to ship in Canada, the cheapest and fastest way. Most of you guys already know which company I'm really fan of working with. It's Stallion Express. I include Chit Chats too. Chit Chats is going to be a bit more expensive than Stallion, so I really recommend you guys use Stallion Express. Your average cost is going to be $7 to $9. It's insane compared to Canada Post, where they're going to be charging you $15. It's not worth it. Stallion Express is the way to go. And for whatever reason, if you can't get to your Stallion Express, you can also I use ClickShip. You can get UPS, FedEx, Purelator, all the companies except for Canada Post to come to you. It's just going to be a little bit more expensive, and I would say your average price is maybe going to be around $12, $13 if you're on the same coastline. But really, I prioritize Stallion Express 100%. Make sure you have one near you. How to actually set up your Stallion Express account. Let's go right into there. There's going to be a lot of blurring because I have a lot of info in there, but bear with me while I show you how to set up your account. What I want to show you is how to actually do the shipments in Stallion itself. It's pretty straightforward. You're going to connect your Amazon account and you're going to go into this little import section right here. Once your store is actually connected, your storefront's going to show up here and it's going to say exactly how many orders are waiting to be fulfilled. You can also press this little refresh button, sync this store. It's just going to refresh how many orders you need. And once you click this, go into the orders and make a shipment. You can see I have 45 selected. You just need to do select all, and we're going to batch them up and just going to group them. So we press this plus batch and we can name them whatever we want. You can name them the date. So December 10th would be tomorrow's date that I'm going to ship these out. We're going to press save and it's going to import them all over there. We got to go in one by one and we got to press edit. And once we press edit, we're going to put in the dimensions of our package. This is where it's important to kind of know your dimensions a little bit beforehand, but I know that most of the things that I source will fit into what is a thick envelope, which is that craft mailer that I mentioned. And it's never going to go and surpass 8x2x8 inches. My average thing, right? You got to figure out what you're selling, what the average box is, and plug it in to figure out your average price. And again, I'm not doing anything that's usually more than £1, but I will adjust this if someone is ordering multiple. And right now, this thing costs $81.99. And I don't like to do Canada Post expedited. I'll go down, pick Intelcom. I don't take Stallion Protection because I never find it's worth it. I'm going to press get rates. And this person is a Quebec resident. I am also in Quebec. So we're going to get $5.66 before tax. Guys, there is no better way of shipping something in Canada that's going to get you $5.66. Now that we're all done with Stallion, it's time to master our shipping templates for Canada because we do something unique. Now, it depends which coastline you're on. I'm going to pretend here that we are in Ontario. I'm actually a Quebec resident, but if you're on the West Coast, you got to kind of mirror this technique, but your physical location is really your unfair advantage. We're going to use our fulfillment time to really control who we sell to. Amazon doesn't allow us to price BC more expensive than Quebec, for example. But we can actually have BC, Alberta take a lot more time. Therefore, the more expensive shipping rates over there will get eliminated or at least unprioritized, and we're going to get more sales on the East Coast getting lower shipping rates. Here's a little bit of the template in action. I'm going to show you exactly in Amazon how to set this up. But for visual, where we have our zone 1, certainly if we're on that East Coast, right, in Quebec, Ontario, we're going to have Quebec, Toronto, Ottawa, the big cities, the Montreals. That's going to be 2 to 3 days. We're going to compete with FBA, and we're going to be extremely competitive to these guys because our shipping cost is going to be sometimes from $5 to $6. We're just doing a 7 average cost to make sure we're safe. For zone 2, rest of Ontario and the Maritimes, we're going to put 3 to 5. We can still compete here. We're giving ourselves a little bit of breathing room, but it's going to be a tad more expensive. This is where we're going to start seeing our $7.50, $8 shipping costs. And where we kind of don't want to ship is Alberta and British Columbia. Now, don't get me wrong. You can change these transit times if you have really high ROI items, but in general, I'm going to go 14 to 28. I don't want to ship there. The cost is going to start being 12, 13, 14, $15, driving up our average cost, and then you can't control who you're selling to. I'd rather sell where it's profitable and ignore the extremely high cost things. Let me go show you exactly how to do this in Amazon. Click create shipping template. You want to create a new one, so we're just going to do okay. Once we're here, we can name this example perfect shipping. We're picking the rate model as a per item, and this is where we're going to be switching from Canada to province. So we're going to press edit. And this is now we're going to unselect Canada, and we're going to pick Ontario, Quebec. Ontario, we're going to press this little arrow. This is where we can pick Toronto Metro and Ottawa Metro and pick Quebec. So this is an example for me. We can now do over here 2 to 3 days. The shipping fee is going to be free, has to be the same price for everybody. Now we're going to add new region. This is where we can start adding the rest of Ontario, Saskatchewan. This is essentially the rest outside Alberta and British Columbia, which is the 2 furthest provinces from the East Coast. This is where we're going to pick 3 to 5 days. Again, the shipping needs to be free. We're going to do add new region again. We're going to pick Alberta, BC, and the far north. We're going to batch these into the group together. And this group here is going to get 14 to 28 days because we don't want to ship to them. And this has to, again, be free. And now we are perfectly set up. And just like that, you are now ready for your FBM shipping. Now in Amazon, I showed you how to set up the transit time, but the handling time is when you're going to be printing the label. I recommend, if you want to be super aggressive, to set it by same day. That means you need to ship, right? Put that in quotes, because all that means is you need to print the label the same day. And you can set a cutoff time depending what time you want. If you, again, you want to be extremely aggressive and get as many sales as possible, you can put this all the way down to 8 p.m. so you consistently have quickest shipping time to the customer. Because sometimes you're actually going to be quicker than FBA doing this. That being said, you got to make sure that you are confirming and printing these labels. If not, Amazon's going to really penalize you and you're going to get in trouble. And last but not least, how do we find these FBM products? Because we're all used to finding FBA, but what about FBM? And I like using this low risk strategy. It's validate, then deploy. We're not gambling any capital. We're using FBM to validate the demand before we commit to bulk buys. And once we start actually getting sales, that's when we commit. So the steps are pretty simple, right? We're gonna find it, then we're gonna list it. It starts getting sales. We're gonna go get it RA, right? I'm an online arbitrage seller. Why am I mentioning RA? It's low risk because these are available in store. So if I sell 1, 2, 5, 10, I'm able to go get them in store. Order them online in bulk. Maybe we're getting 50, 100 because I already have the validated sales in front of me to prove that the order quantity of 50 to 100 is actually worth. Some classic examples: Walmart, Canadian Tire, Sephora. You can get a wide range of categories, wide range of products using these 3 stores, and all these 3 stores you can order and pick up the next day. Certainly Canadian Tire, they have like lockers where you don't need to interact with anybody. You walk in, you put in a code, and you leave with your products. And sometimes you can have FBM sales loaded up, so you're walking in, you can have your labels already ready, stuck onto your craft bags. You go into Canadian Tire, pick up your goods, put them into the bag, and go to the shipping company same day. That's how easy it could be. I put this red warning at the bottom over here. Do not list the items if you are not 100% sure that you would be able to go and pick these up the next day or at least 2 days, because then you're going to expose yourself and get in big trouble. However, if you are responsible, this is an extremely safe method to protect your capital, because you're only getting things once they actually prove to you that they sell, and you can essentially list unlimited leads as long as they're ungated. Now, how to actually price these FBM products, we gotta determine which way we're going. Are we going for competing with FBA products, or are we kind of going like blue ocean where there's no strong seller? Because the beauty about FBM is everybody has different shipping times, and if you're gonna look, not a lot of people compete for competitive FBM shipping times of 0-day handling and 2 to 3 days shipping. That means you can start pricing yourself higher than these FBM sellers and still getting the buy box, certainly if you use a repricer, and this is where a lot of money could be made. However, competing with FBA is really interesting because since we're delivering only on the East Coast, sometimes certainly in Canada, people don't carry a ton of inventory, and their inventory could be on a completely different province, so you're gonna end up stealing the buy box too. This is where a repricer comes in and is super important, but generally when we're competing with FBA, we want to look at pricing ourselves aggressively and maybe $1 under them and making sure that we're still going to be profitable. But either or, you got to factor in a $7 to $8 shipping cost. I could do a whole video on just FBM pricing, so if you guys want that, leave a comment, but for now we're just going to move on. So before we go on to using Keep a Product Finder, I'm going to show you examples on finding FBM products. There's 3 main ways that you're going to be able to find it, right? You can use the seller ID database, and I have a ton of videos on how I do this to look for ungated. This is going to be easiest way to find products. You'll be able to find a plethora of products using seller IDs. If you don't, just watch the video that's going to be linked at the end. Then it's the sell and listings that don't have a buy box, the things that are suppressed, because who cares if it's FBA? If you have as quick shipping times as them, the customer does not care. And then last but not least, a little trick is looking for fragrances, because those are probably almost always going to be available for FBM and not FBA, because Amazon is very strict with their dangerous good program. Now for some secret sauce, how to actually find these FBM products, I'm going to give you a special filter that I use. Certainly when it comes to seasonal items, it's fantastic, and we're in Q4, so no better time to do it. First things first is we're going to be going after products that have extremely quick sell-through rates. So we're going to do top 1,000 sales rank. And most of the time, the top 1,000 products does have Amazon in stock. So we want to make sure they're out of stock. After that, we're going to scroll down a bit. We're going to go, and right now, you can do this to any category that you want specific for the seasonality. Perfect right now is toys. So let's go ahead and pick that. You can see it brings us down to 2,693 products. We want to cut that down a bit more. So we're going to scroll down. We're going to put a minimum of 2 sellers, guys, because if there's 1 seller, it might be a private label product that you can sell anyways. This brings us down to 578. And last thing I like to do, this is not a necessity, is to find the variations and make sure it's no variation, because sometimes that could be deceptive. And right before we go and see these 69 products, if you want filters like this and learn how to sell on Amazon, FBA or FBM, I'm looking for 3 sellers to work with. I want to blow up their storefront. If you're interested in that, go check the link in the comments. And right now, let's go find those products. So here we are. We have 69 products. That's not a lot. So I want you guys clicking every single one of these products and go through different categories and do this for all the important categories for the seasonality run. And you guys can see the bot in the past 30 days is insanely high. We have thousands of sales per month, but each of these products, if you look at the bottom right, Amazon's not going to be in stock. That means we have a chance to come in and really do an impact. Now, we don't have all the same gated products, so that's why I suggest clicking these 69 products, see what you can sell, see if you can pick them up at Canadian Tire or Walmart, and you can go ahead and get some quick FBM flips right now in Q4. And if you want to find more products in general, I suggest you find with my sourcing seller ID video right here, and I'll catch you in the next video.